Each spring, countless gardeners plant seedlings in holes and cross their fingers for success. Many shell out $50, $100, or even $200 on fertilizers by season's end. Yet their soil often winds up depleted come August. Garden stores won't stock this secret, though. Two of Earth's top soil-boosting powerhouses lurk in almost every American household. One's right on the kitchen counter, the other's by the fireplace hearth. Best part, they're totally free. There's a big caveat, however. On their own, each one maxes out quickly. Mishandled, one could torch your garden in a single night. Mix them right, though. Layer them in the planting hole before roots hit dirt, and magic unfolds. A microbial chain reaction kicks off, one that endures beyond the first year. It snowballs annually. It strengthens over time. This breakdown reveals precisely what those ingredients are, the science driving their power, the exact safe application steps, and the 3 blunders that wreck it all. No store runs needed. Everything's already on hand. Section 1. The myth of the instant boost. Why do gardens wilt by midsummer? Blame those flashy bags of synthetic fertilizers, pure isolated mineral salts. They melt into the soil fast. Roots snatch them up right away. Plants surge upward, foliage deepens to lush green, and for a short stretch, it rivals a glossy ad. Below ground, though, decay sets in silently. Those salts nourish the plant but starve the soil. Bacteria, fungi, earthworms, the unseen crew sustaining healthy dirt, get zero from chemical spikes. Gradually they dwindle. Soil packs down tight. It sheds water. Its framework crumbles. Gardeners chase their tails, pouring in ever more fertilizer to hold steady. Savvy growers spot this early, which explains the shift to a favorite organic fix: coffee grounds. Spread them near tomatoes, and worms explode in numbers. Leaves intensify. Soil gains that rich aroma. They deliver, hands down. Yet here's the overlooked twist. By year 2 or 3, progress hits a wall for dedicated users. Growth flattens, yields stabilize, the spark dims. Technique's spot on, so what's the issue? It's not overdoing it. It's the gap. Coffee grounds supply energy and microbes, but skimp on a vital element: minerals, calcium, potassium. Essentials plants can't produce themselves. The living engine hums but lacks raw materials to construct with. Enter that overlooked staple: fireplace ash, gathered all winter. Section 2. Morning's black treasure: coffee grounds. Before the other ingredient, let's unpack why grounds earn such hype. America downs hundreds of millions of coffee cups daily, dumping mountains of spent grounds into landfills. Gardeners repurpose them into gold, however. Nitrogen's the star, about 2% by weight in used grounds. Peanuts next to synthetic bags at 20 to 30%, sure, but delivery flips the script. Chemical nitrogen floods water and rinses away in rain. Grounds bind theirs in tough organics, proteins, cell walls, fibers. Plants can't grab it solo, they need backup. Enter the magic. Soil microbes pounce on grounds instantly, fungi and bacteria feasting to dismantle them. As they digest, nitrogen trickles out slow and steady, root ready. No flash flood lost to downpours, just prolonged nourishment spanning months. Microbes draw earthworms like magnets. Grounds rev them up and aid digestion with grit. Worms devour, burrow, and deposit castings, nature's ultimate nutrient bomb, packing 5 to 10 times more available goodies than plain soil. The loop self-perpetuates. Grounds fuel bacteria. Bacteria sustain worms. Worms supercharge soil. Soil powers plants. Pure, cascading synergy. Still, no cycle runs forever. Those busy bacteria and diligent worms are toiling in a setting short on minerals. Coffee grounds offer next to no calcium, and their potassium content is only moderate. The labor force is vast and ravenous, yet the essential resources are depleted. The living engine stalls higher up with no more materials to work with. Shattering that barrier demands what coffee grounds can't deliver, an age-old mineral-packed resource that most folks ignore. Section 3. The remnants of winter's fire. Wood ash. A pail of hearth ash seems like trash, dull gray dust, the faded echo of flames that already shared their heat. Folks usually scoop it into bags and toss it without a glance. But think about its true nature. Imagine a full-grown hardwood like an oak, hickory, or maple. Over 50 or even 100 years, its roots plunge deep into the ground, hauling up minerals beyond the grasp of any shallow-rooted veggie. Calcium, potassium, magnesium, phosphorus, plus loads of trace minerals, all locked into the wood, year by year, ring upon ring. Burning releases the carbon as smoke, but the minerals endure. Each scoop of that gray powder packs the dense mineral bounty from decades of steady mining far below. 100 years' worth of sustenance squeezed into fine particles. The stats confirm it. Wood ash usually holds 20 to 25% calcium carbonate, matching what's in eggshells or egg lime. Calcium builds strong cell walls, wards off blossom and rot in tomatoes and peppers, and supports every developing part. It also supplies about 5% potassium, once called potash from potashes. Potassium boosts fruits and flowers, manages water flow within the plant, and delivers those plump yields and vivid blossoms. So far, it seems like garden gold. And it is. Yet wood ash hides a risky edge that trips up gardeners annually. Pay close attention here. Messing it up doesn't merely squander time. It dooms plants. The hazard of straight ash. Dry wood ash is intensely alkaline. When it hits soil moisture, it sparks a fierce reaction. pH surges fast. That abrupt shift scorches the fine feeder roots crucial for grabbing nutrients. Worse still, the pH jump binds phosphorus, manganese, and iron, rendering them useless. Leaves turn yellow, growth halts, plants mimic herbicide damage. That's precisely why eager gardeners test it once, see the fallout, and ban it for good. The stuff itself wasn't faulty, the application was. Untamed force without control wreaks havoc, in gardens or beyond. Skip wood ash? No. Alter its soil entry instead. The wood ash extract approach. It's simple, mostly passive over 4 days. Grab a 5-gallon plastic bucket. Plastic only, since alkaline stuff eats metal. Add 1 cup sifted dry hardwood ash per gallon of water. 4 cups ash to 4 gallons in the bucket. Stick to ash from untreated wood. No painted wood, treated lumber, or briquettes. Rainwater's ideal. For tap, leave uncovered, 24 hours to off-gas chlorine. Mix well with a wood stirrer. Water clouds to gray. That's normal. Cover loosely. Let rest 3 to 4 days unmoved. Quietly, water leaches soluble goodies, calcium, potassium traces, right out of the ash into liquid form. Day 4. Sediment sinks. Top liquid clears to pale amber, like dilute tea. That's your extract, but concentrated, pH around 10 to 12. Straight use burns like dry ash. Dilute it. In a 2-gallon can, use 1 to 2 cups extract, top with plain water. Mix should be nearly transparent, barely tinted. At that strength, soil handles the pH shift smoothly. Dissolved minerals skip surface crusts, sink directly to roots. Soon, the forest's timeless minerals nourish your garden. Section 4. The Powerhouse Combo, where opposites unite. Here's the game changer. Coffee grounds and wood ash extract shine solo. Many gardeners get solid outcomes from using either coffee grounds or wood ash extract separately, but combining them in the soil simultaneously unleashes something much more potent. The result isn't mere addition, it's exponential growth. Imagine the action unfolding mere inches underground. You've worked coffee grounds into the upper soil layer. Bacteria explode in numbers, devouring the nitrogen. Earthworms burrow through, munching on the grounds and the bacterial clusters around them. Then pour in the diluted wood ash extract. The solution seeps down via the worm channels, soaking the roots and infusing the nearby soil with soluble calcium and potassium. Those busy earthworms aren't feeding in a nutrient-deficient zone anymore. Each bite now packs the essential minerals that were absent earlier. Their castings transform from basic to powerhouse. Nutrient-packed super fertilizer, way superior to what coffee grounds alone could create. Meanwhile, the coffee-fueled bacterial hubs efficiently process and shuttle those wood ash minerals straight to the roots. The microbial web turns into a delivery network. Coffee grounds provide the energy. Wood ash extract supplies the building blocks. United, they forge a dynamic fertility machine that gains strength week by week. Understanding the biology is just part of the story. Turning a good garden into a phenomenal one hinges on technique and schedule. That's up next. Section 5. The Blueprint. Applying the method. The planting hole protocol. Start this before the plant hits the dirt. When spring hits and soil temps reach at least 50 degrees Fahrenheit, prep the hole. Excavate to the right depth for your crop, tomato, pepper, squash, or whatever fits the season. Begin by tossing a small handful of spent coffee grounds, about a couple tablespoons, right into the hole's base. Blend them loosely with the local soil. This sets up a deep, gradual nitrogen stash. Roots won't hit it right away. They'll reach it later when nitrogen needs peak. Now add the minerals. Either sprinkle a scant teaspoon of sifted dry wood ash or dump in a cup of the well-diluted extract and let it absorb. Here's the make-or-break step. Top it with 1 to 2 inches of untouched native soil. Never skip this. Fresh seedling roots can't contact raw coffee grounds or ash. That soil buffer acts as protection, letting roots descend into the goodies gradually on their schedule. Position the plant, fill around it with soil, and firm it lightly. Your bio-mineral base is set. The weekly routine. True magic builds from repetition, not a single dose across the season. Weekly. Scatter leftover coffee grounds thinly over the soil near plants. Thin is crucial. A heavy blanket crusts up, sheds water. Just a light dusting, then rake it into the top inch with fingers or a cultivator. Every week or every other, drench the root zones with diluted wood ash extract at the plant bases, not leaves. As flowers emerge on tomatoes, peppers, squash, or beans, ramp up the ash extract. Flowering and fruit set spike potassium demands. That drench delivers precisely what's required to shift growth into fruit. A common pitfall: halting coffee grounds at fruiting. The microbial action they sustain, bacteria, worms, cycling, runs vital all season. Keep both going non-stop through harvest. The build-up effect. Year 1 yields tangible but subtle gains. Soil darkens by autumn. Worm numbers climb. Growth and produce. Quality rise. Yet this system's genius is its momentum. It accumulates. Year 2 launches from elevated ground with prior biology in place and ash-built mineral stocks ready from day 1. By year 3, changes are striking. That same garden bed, which barely managed a small crop in the first year, is now producing bumper harvests without any purchased fertilizer. The ground feels soft and bouncy, rich with dark organic matter. Earthworms have thrived through 3 full seasons. The calcium buildup is so solid, it keeps the soil balanced against shortages all summer. Blossom end rot is long gone. Plants grow tougher against diseases, and it all comes from coffee grounds and hearth ash, stuff most folks toss in the trash. Section 6. The 3 deadly errors. All these benefits can go wrong in a big way if you break any of these rules. Error 1. Dumping dry ash. This is the biggest pitfall and the worst offender. Don't ever pour straight dry wood ash from a bucket right onto your plants. Don't apply the extract unless it's watered down to a faint, almost clear tea. Dry ash or strong extract jacks up the pH, scorches delicate roots, and traps vital nutrients out of reach. Mixing and diluting aren't just nice-to-haves. They're what makes this method safe and effective. Error 2. The trap for acid fans. Wood ash extract bumps soil toward the alkaline side. Plenty of veggies love that shift, but certain plants hate it. Stay clear of blueberries, azaleas, rhododendrons, and potatoes. They need acid conditions. Using ash extract on them blocks iron uptake. Leaves fade to sickly yellow with green veins holding out. Classic iron chlorosis. Potatoes get scabby with bumpy, tough skins. Keep ash extract off acid-loving plants completely. Error 3. Swapping them like they're the same. If you're short on one, it's easy to overload the other instead. Doubling up on ash extract for lack of grounds or heaping on grounds to skip the ash, that misses the whole idea. Coffee grounds deliver nitrogen and boost microbes. Ash extract brings calcium and potassium. They're totally different roles. It's like giving workers daily meals but no building supplies. You need both, ongoing. The magic happens only when they're teamed up. Those grounds from your morning brew, the ash from winter fires, items people usually discard, paired with basic know-how and a quick weekly habit. They create soil that gets better year after year. No garden store bills. This isn't an instant hack. It's a steady building wonder that pays off with time. Gardening that partners with nature, not battles it. So next time you plant a seedling, glance at the kitchen counter and fireplace. Your garden's secret weapons are right there.